cape.
Welcome, Wargamers, to Fyreslayers Week. That's right, we're taking a week and diving headlong into the entire faction, one of the most iconic armies in the Forces of Order. And this is an incredible faction with all the elements that make a great and epic story. They have devotion to a god. They have evocative imagery, this fire and these magma drops and all that stuff, and some lore to back it all up. And so to properly tell the story of this race, we need to start at the first Fyreslayer, the one who sets the tone for the entire faction. That is Grimnir himself. It is his actions as a god that have defined the entire race and set it on a course that cannot be changed. So let's dive into a little bit of history. During the Age of Myth, Sigmar, when he was kind of exploring the realms and seeing what creation was like, discovers the twin Duardin, Grugni and Grimnir. And I'm not sure they're actually saying it's like literal twins, but they are dual Duardin gods, Grugni and Grimnir. And one of them was filled with fury of battle, meaning Grimnir really embodied all those aggressive and warrior pride aspects of Duardin, whereas Grugni was really about being, they describe him as being tempered by the forge. He's about craftsmanship, being a man of the forge. Now, the context for how they were rescued is largely unknown. They were trapped in the tallest of the Iron Mountains in Chamon, the realm of metal, and we know that Sigmar frees them, and they both make promises to him. Grugni promises his forging skills. He actually becomes instrumental in making Stormcast Eternals, shaping Sigmarite to be able to make them. And Grimnir made Sigmar accept a warrior's oath, which is basically saying, thank you for freeing me, now point me to an enemy of yours and I will defeat him in battle on your honor. And at first, Sigmar was hesitant because he didn't really have any enemies at that point, but Grimnir was insistent, and so Sigmar pointed him to a giant salamander named Volcatrix. Now, to be honest, we don't really know why Sigmar chose this beast. This is like a god beast level thing where it's just like impossible proportions. The thing is the side of a mountain, it bleeds lava, that kind of ridiculous stuff. And Volcatrix is also the mother of all salamanders. And as I said, it's described in proportion the same way that god beasts are described in the God Beast book. Impossible size, can level entire like swaths of the realms by breathing fire and lava. Just a creature of immense power to kind of give you a scope of this. But Grimnir walks up, picks a fight with Volcatrix, and the two have this titanic battle of the gods. Because you're looking at a colossal fire serpent versus a giant Duardin. They described Grugni in the book Spear of Shadows as being a Duardin, so he's supposed to be squat like a dwarf, but he's also just kind of zoomed out and amplified to the size of being an ogre. So he's just a huge dwarf slash Duardin to kind of give you an idea of what he's supposed to look like. These two are fighting it out. And the end of this fight really results in one of two narratives, depending on who you ask. One is that the two ran at each other and basically exploded upon impact with one another. Like the sheer power of two god-level beings crushing into each other just was too much and the universe couldn't handle it and they just blew up. Or the other one is that Grimnir actually defeated Volcatrix, but in Volcatrix's death throes exploded, which took out Grimnir with it. Truth of the matter is it doesn't really matter, because both the god and the god beast are obliterated. But there's a reoccurring theme in Age of Sigmar where you can't truly kill a god. The explosion shatters his essence into shards that are just kind of hit with such ferocity that they are able to like travel immediately through different realms. And this is actually where we get a material called Urgold, which we'll talk about tomorrow. But to put it really quickly, either his essence solidifies as a gold-like material, or his power literally imbues naturally occurring bits of gold in the mortal realms. But as I said, this new substance is called Urgold, which is literally just, it looks like gold, but it's infused with the power of Grimnir. And they act as puzzle pieces to reassemble him. They need to get all the pieces of Urgold, and then theoretically Grimnir can return. So why did I start with Grimnir? Why has he kind of set the tone for the entire army? Well, let me ask you this. What do you do now? If you are a Duardin, who your kind of parent god, if you will, was Grimnir rather than Grugni. Because an entire race of people just saw their god get shattered alive. What does that do to you? In this kind of narrative of gods and men, where the pantheon is very like present in mortal life, what do you do when you see yours just get blown to smithereens like that? Well, there are a few kind of core values in all Duardin. For example, they have a warrior code, but they can't avenge him, because Volcatrix is dead too, right? A typical warrior code would be like you write the Volcatrix's name in the Book of Grudges, and all the Duardin would go out and not stop until they slay the giant beast and avenge their fallen god, and then set to work of kind of putting him back together. But they can't do that. There's no honor to be found because Volcatrix is already dead. But there is one thing you can do that still maintains your code. You can put Grimnir back together and let him regain his own honor. It is a good thing for warriors to be able to regain their own honor. And this is what being a Fyreslayer is fundamentally all about. When we talk about this faction the rest of this week, what we're talking about is the various ways that they go about reassembling their god so that Grimnir can have a place of honor again, because he fell in battle when he wasn't supposed to. It's a story of people who are functionally godless in a narrative surrounding gods and mortals. And that desperation to reclaim their deity is going to take them down some very dark and questionable roads, and we're going to explore that this week. So as we go forward, we now understand the mission of the Fyreslayers. Resurrect your fallen god. Collect all his pieces and release him from the Urgold. This is a drive that moves every single Fyreslayer. Their entire family structure, societal structure, weapons of war, personality characteristics, everything, their religion, their identity, their strength, it's all based in Grimnir, in Urgold, and reclaiming him. Now, as I said, we're going to talk about Urgold as a resource in tomorrow's video, and you'll see what I talk about, and you'll see what I mean when I talk about going down some pretty sketchy paths. So friends, I hope you enjoy Fyreslayers Week. I am excited to bring it to you. Some things opened up in my schedule, and so I'm going to be cranking out videos as much as I can leading up to the release of 2nd edition, which I am so unbelievably pumped for. But I do still want to hear what videos you'd like to see. Go ahead and click subscribe, leave in the comments down below. A lot of people have been requesting Fyreslayers over the years, and in fact, the Start Collecting Box review for them was one of my most popular videos, so they are a faction that people love, and it's a beautiful army. So if you haven't, go over to the Games Workshop page and check them out. It'll be a good visuals to understand the lore as we go through it this week. Above all, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.